The Independent Electoral Commission has been given until 2019 to fix the voters' roll by providing proper records of voters' addresses. It appears, though, that there are other problems with the roll. A week away from local elections, Special Assignment visited Mpumalanga, where a large number of would-be voters' IDs are blocked. Some of those still appear on the voters' roll. Samson Ndlovu was born in Mpumalanga to South African parents. His dream of a white wedding was shattered by Home Affairs in September last year.
My wife and I got married traditionally, and it was only last year that we decided we wanted a white wedding. I went to Home Affairs, but I was told that my ID is blocked. I asked them why it was blocked, and all they could say was that their system says it is blocked.
Samson's world was turned upside down. He tried everything to get his ID unblocked.
I tried to find a solution. I went to the primary school that I attended as a child, and I got a letter that has my admission number, which proves that I was born here. I took that letter to Home Affairs, but I was turned away with it. I have tried everything, but nothing seems to help.
LIESL MULLER works for Lawyers for Human Rights. She deals with issues like Samson's on a day-to-day basis.
The law says that if you have an ID, that proves your nationality. And if anybody wants to come and now prove the opposite, they must prove it. So what Home Affairs does is they put the onus on the person who is the vulnerable person and makes them prove things that they don't necessarily have the records of anymore.
Home Affairs officials have been unable to give Samson answers.
The Home Affairs officials are unable to assist or explain to us what the problem is. That's what happened with me. They just said they do not know and told me to get out. Even when I went to a different Home Affairs, I was met with the same response. They told me that I'm a foreigner and that I should get out.
Many people with blocked IDs were not notified beforehand. Samson says it should have been handled differently.
The government should have dealt with this properly from the word go. If they want to control things, I think there is a proper way to do that. They can't just block people's IDs without explaining to us or notifying us. Maybe there are IDs that should be blocked because of how they were acquired. They should have done their research and not just block everybody's IDs.
They are allowed to investigate, sure, and they need to investigate people that they legitimately feel need to be investigated. But what they need to do is they need to inform the person first that they're going to investigate them, give them some time to make representations, and give the person concrete evidence of why they should be investigated at all. And then, based on that, they can make a decision. And then even after that, they would have to give the person an opportunity to appeal that decision.
We spoke to VUSI MKHIZE from Home Affairs and asked him why people are not notified before their IDs are blocked.
In terms of the laws of national justice, we should be able to inform you, and that's what normally happens. If we've got your data on the system, your contact details, we should be able to inform you. But if we can't do that, as we clean up our population register, the only way we can do that is when you present yourself to us and you apply. You don't disclose, then we block the ID. Then you are also told on the spot. That is why they are not getting IDs.
Samson Ndlovu fears for his family's future. If anything happens to him, they will not get any of his money, and the house he started building for them will remain incomplete.
In my understanding, if an ID is blocked, that means that you lose everything. I have money in the bank that I'm unable to access. I have cars to pay off. My child is doing matric now, and I don't know what I will do when she has to go to the university. If I died, that means that my children will receive nothing. All the benefits I have at work, they will not get. I was told at Home Affairs that if I die and my ID is still blocked, my family will not be able to apply for a death certificate.
Samson feels trapped without a way out of his dilemma. He cannot accept what has happened to him.
I am saddened by this because there's nothing I can do. With my ID blocked, it means I am nothing. It is really painful. I have suffered a lot from the moment I found out. I am unable to sleep. I am constantly thinking of what to do for things to go back to normal. My life is here. Everything I have is here.
Samson is shocked to still see his name on the voters' roll and wonders if this is all his ID is good for. He feels used.
What is really surprising to me is that when I go to check my name on the voters' roll, it is there. And I'm told that I will be allowed to vote, which means that the only thing that you can do with this ID is to vote, but you cannot do anything with it because you are told that you are a foreigner.
Last year, September,
Mr. MKHIZE explains that if your ID is under investigation, there's a chance that you might be a South African citizen.
IEC, I don't think it would be fair to expect them to then take away that right, only to find that when investigation is finalized, there was something that was not adequately provided by the citizens to Home Affairs. Because the intention of blocking is for you to come forth so that we can then investigate the veracity of your case.
We approached the IEC to find out what makes someone eligible to vote.
Persons that are registered on the voters' roll are entitled to vote because in terms of the Constitution, it is people who are South African citizens who are also registered with the IEC to be on the voters' roll.
We asked Mr. Mamabulo why all the people I interviewed appear on the voters' roll.
The custodian for citizenship is Home Affairs. What the IEC does after each registration process, we confirm the citizenship of all applicants with Home Affairs. We also confirm the fact that people are still alive with Home Affairs. So everybody who is on the voters' roll, in the approved section of the voters' roll, their citizenship has been confirmed with Home Affairs. In other words, at the time when the voters' roll closed, those persons' citizenship was active. And on that basis, we took the decision to include them in the voters' roll.
Samson Dlovu's parents passed away years ago. He's still holding on to their IDs, hoping that one day they might prove that he is a South African, born to South African parents. His parents are buried alongside each other by his family home, opposite his house. A week from national elections, we visit Mpumalanga and speak to several people whose IDs have been blocked. Like Samson, Paulos, a mechanic, was born and raised in South Africa. With a blocked ID, he is stateless, yet his name appears on the voters' roll. Last year, when Paulos tried to withdraw money from the bank, he was confronted with shocking news that his account was blocked.
I got an investment account.
I have an investment account, so my fingerprints were required before I could access the money. They then said that the system is not finding my fingerprints, and I have to go to Home Affairs. I told them I opened my account here, not at Home Affairs. Their response was that they can't help because the system is not releasing my information. The only thing they could pick up is that my ID is blocked.
leyi kombaka ku ID ya wena ya tirha sweswi hi komba ku ID blocked.
When we block IDs, it's based on a number of reasons. One, when we look at the fingerprints, you will find that the person was previously deported. And we've got fingerprints. We take your fingerprints, we compare them with our existing fingerprints.
Paulos went to the Department of Home Affairs to get clarity on the matter. Officials told him that they were unable to assist him.
I went to
Home Affairs and I was told that the system says I am an illegal immigrant. And they can't assist me as there is no court order that states what needs to be done when someone is facing a challenge like this. That's why we are pushing to have a court order in place.
This father of two, the breadwinner of the family, has been cut off from all financial services. This includes bank loans and bursaries for his children.
It really hurts that they blocked my ID because I am a South African, and that's why we are looking for a solution to prevent this happening to other people.
Paulos realized there were many more Mpumalanga residents with the same problem. He recently registered an organization to help people whose IDs have been blocked.
Our organization is called Mahlo ya Rixaka Community Project, and our aim is to help people. A lot of people who are affected by this ID problem. We want to help and accommodate all of them. That's why we decided to open this organization. We want everyone to join together and come out in the open with this problem. We must speak out. We all have the same problem. All the people registered in our organization are South African citizens. I am also a South African citizen. Here is my ID. We now want a solution. Will they take this ID and give us new IDs, or we must continue living with these blocked IDs?
Kumbe va teka ma ID lawa va hi nyika man'wana kumbe hi tshama ni wo lawa va ngo ma wrong ke.
LIESL MULLER says a blocked ID implies the stripping of one's nationality and the denial of access to basic rights during an investigation period which can take years. In the meantime, those who have been affected live in a state of limbo.
In our experience with the people who have been coming in to Lawyers for Human Rights is that these investigations were started 10 years ago, 5 years ago, and for 5 years this person was not able to keep his job, to use the money that he has in his bank accounts or open a new one, travel anywhere, all the things that you need for your that you need to use your ID for. One of the most devastating things is the fact that when you lose your job, you can't access your UIF because you need your ID number for that. So it is a completely devastating effect.
Paulos has been given neither an explanation nor a solution to his problem from Home Affairs, with whom he has struggled since his nightmare began. He has hit a brick wall.
Information I
have not received a proper explanation as to why my ID was blocked. We have had meetings with Home Affairs and they said that they blocked our IDs because many people bought their IDs. We asked them if they had shops where they sold IDs, and they said no. We asked them if they had arrested the people selling these IDs, and they failed to respond. The last time we spoke to them, they said they will be engaging the minister on a way forward, but they still have not gotten back to us.
Many South Africans like Paulos are suspected to be foreigners by Home Affairs and police officials.
They suspected I am a Mozambican because I speak Shangaan. They didn't think I was from this country. And that is the reason I was arrested and taken to the Mozambican border. In 1993, I was arrested in Chokoza and I was deported to the Libombo border gate. When I was arrested, I had my ID with me. It was taken from me and was given back to me later. I was released the same day. I felt very bad about the way that we were treated because we stay in the area, yet we are suspected of being foreigners.
people who a local official at a border or at a local office would then suspect you of being foreign for whatever reason, mostly because of your appearance. So maybe you're too dark or your accent is a bit strange, and then put a hit on your name on the system, which blocks your ID until an investigation is done.
We'll be going to Pretoria because the local Home Affairs don't have a solution to our problem. And we have realized that they are wasting our time. You get there, they send you from pillar to post.
We spoke to some of the people who are part of his organization.
Mina hikuya hi mina anta kombela Minister of Home Affairs loyi anga dyondza xikolo hi mapasi langa
I want the Minister of Home Affairs to come and tell these people why he blocked their IDs. Children are unable to go to university because they block their parents' IDs. I am very upset about this issue.
I'm worried about this issue. Swani vavisa vana va hina lava fane va university ava university vana va fane va nga dyondzi xikolo va heta because of vona nga block mapasi ya vatswari va vona. It's not true.
I have money in my account which I cannot access because my ID is blocked. If I die, will my family get that money? Would I have worked for nothing? If they want to block my ID, they must give me my money first and then block it. I don't care.
With the upcoming election, the concern of people in the same situation as Paulo's is whether they will be able to vote.
Kuvota nisungule hi 94. I
started voting in 1994. I voted in every election. I am not sure if I will be able to vote in these coming elections due to my ID being blocked. When we go check the voters' roll, our names are there, but next to them it says non-South African citizen.
I have heard that one or two of my clients were able to vote, but most of the people who have blocked IDs don't have an ID document anymore because they found out that their ID is blocked because they lost their ID and they wanted to apply for a new one. So if you don't have an ID, you can't go to a voting station and vote. And if your ID is also blocked on the system, there's also the possibility that because the systems are linked, that at the voting, that you won't be able to register to vote.
Thousands fled the war-torn Mozambique in the 70s and 80s and crossed the border into South Africa. Large numbers of Mozambican nationals who entered South Africa settled in Mpumalanga. Florence Mkondo, a mother of 6, has been here since 1986.
I am from a village called Saviela, and I came here fleeing from the war in Mozambique.
Years after arriving in South Africa, she applied for an ID.
My aunt helped me to apply for an ID in Matsulu. My aunt spoke to a friend of hers who helped me to get an ID.
A lot of people were registered for the first time after '94, and what I've heard is that these people who were registered during that time are treated with a lot of suspicion. But I mean, the Registration Act, the Birth Registration Act that we had during that time, the Mandela Birth Registration Act, that time was particularly lenient because people didn't have all the documents, but they could bring their aunt and their chief could write a letter or whatever proof they had, and that was to include the most vulnerable people because of apartheid and the history that we have. And now 20 years later, we want to exclude them.
South Africa has to create a reliable national population register. And to do that, you need to capture citizens' identities as accurately as possible. So even the persons who might have IDs in the past, and using our records, we are able to check whether their registration is authentic or the registration was fraudulent.
In 2012, when applying for her late daughter's death certificate, Flora found out that she shares her ID number with a stranger.
The lady who was assisting me said that she would give me the death certificate and informed me that my ID was a duplicate. When my daughter died, she had money in her account, and before she passed away, she transferred the money into my bank account. Weeks after the burial, I remembered what the lady at Home Affairs told me about my ID. And that's when I decided to go to the bank to try and transfer the money to one of my other children's bank account. But when I got there, I was told that my ID had been blocked and I could not make the transfer.
Like Paulo Ndlovu, Florence was advised by her bank to go to Home Affairs, but nobody there could help her.
They told me there was nothing they could do to help me because my ID had been cancelled. I then asked how I was going to access my money, and they said they don't know. I went back to the bank and told them what Home Affairs had said, and they also said there was nothing they could do.
Florence realized that other people in her area also had their IDs blocked for the same reason.
I have heard about it before because there is a woman who lives down the road who wanted to apply for a birth certificate for her children and was told that she shared her ID number with someone else. So when it happened to me, I then realized that I was in the same situation as her.
Florence is deeply unhappy about not having a voice, despite seeing herself as a South African for more than 2 decades.
Without an ID, a lot goes wrong, because you need an ID for everything. You can't apply for jobs, and when you grow older, you can't apply for grants. I have nowhere else to go. I have been in South Africa for over 30 years, and I want to be acknowledged as a citizen of this country.
We asked Florence if she has ever voted with her ID and whether she will be voting next week.
Yes, I have always voted. My ID even has the IEC stamps to show that I have been voting.
VUSI MKHIZE encourages people with blocked IDs to contact their call center or go to their offices.
There are a number of efforts we're making to assist people, but if they are hiding, we will find them, and those ID numbers will remain blocked until we prove that you are a citizen or not, and the onus is on you to come forth and demonstrate to us your true identity.
Will Samson, Paulos, Florence, and thousands like them be able to prove their identities before it is too late?